Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2, a weekly podcast about people who work together as a couple. Learn the secrets of business partnerships, the benefits and pitfalls of working together. Be it husband and wife, father and son, mother and daughter, friends, relatives or any other combinations of business partnerships. We are your hosts, Tracy and Ian Earle, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. And together,
we are In Business. As well as speaking with other couples, we'll let you know of any useful business apps and websites out there that our members have come across and shared with us at our regular weekly online meetings. Plus, we'll tell you about our special bonus episode coming up this Friday, our Friday Fix. So be sure to listen all the way through to the end to find out more.
Our special guests on this week's episode are Michelle Cowan and Bren Adams of Justo Software.
So without further ado, let's crack on with In Business Talks 2. So hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2, a weekly podcast about people who work together as a business couple. This week we'd like to welcome Michelle and Bren of Justo Software. Welcome, guys.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Hi, good
You're
to
welcome.
have you guys, good to have you.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about what you do, guys. What is it that you guys do?
Shall I take that one, Bren?
Oh, please.
Yeah, so we formed Justo Software in 2018 to bring software ideas to market based on the fact that I'd had an idea for a software product. And yeah, so we've got a product on the market called Social Sender, which is a social media app for sole traders, very small business owners who struggle with finding the time, the inspiration, and really can't afford a social media manager. So we're in the app, we're providing content which is industry relevant for these sole traders and small business owners, freelancers, if you like. That's product number one. And then we've got a second product which is in development called Social Poster, which is along similar lines as Social Sender, but is more instant as opposed to having scheduling functions that Social Sender does.
Yes, that's brilliant.
That's
Thank
great.
you very much.
Thank you very much. And how did you two come to be in business together?
Yeah, what happened? How did it start?
Because you're not a married couple.
No, we're not.
Let's just clarify that before we start.
I think I'll take that one again. So I quit my corporate career 4 years ago and was thinking about what I wanted to do moving forward, and I'd spent years trying to find that kind of unicorn of how could I set up a business that was going to make millions, how different life turns out. But I had an idea for a piece of software which we originally named My Smart App, which has now become Social Sender, and I'd formulated some kind of notes around what I wanted to achieve, but I knew that I had a massive gap in my skills in terms of how I was going to actually make this into a reality. And my background is I've spent the whole of my career in sales, and I knew that if I was going to pull it off, I would have to find somebody that was a creative marketeer. So I sort of set about trying to find somebody that could potentially come into the business with me. I didn't know anybody, or I thought I didn't know anybody at that time. And then I was having dinner with a chap that has become a mentor to me. And I've sort of mentioned what I was trying to do and the type of person that I was looking for. And he said to me, I know somebody, I'm going to send you his details tomorrow. And I said, oh, come on, who is it? And he said, oh, it's Bren Adams. And I said, I actually know him. And I knew him through this chap, but this chap had obviously forgotten that I knew him through him. So I said, oh, that's fine. I don't need an introduction. I'll just contact
him myself.
Bren. So really, that's how it all started. And we met up in a hotel reception like lots of other people do when they're having business meetings, and I'd kind of put together a presentation, a PowerPoint deck of what I was trying to get across, and So I just sort of did the sales pitch on him and convinced him to come in with me.
And what did you think at the time then, Bren? When Michelle made this pitch to you, do you think, "Wow, this is the thing for me"? Yeah, this is, what was going through your head at the time? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, let's lower the drawbridge now or pull it up. Do you know what? I mean, when I think about it, there's like these clandestine meetings that everyone has at certain locations down the M62. I think originally when I didn't really know what to expect, because Michelle was actually quite cagey, I will say, about the information. She said, "I've got this idea for an app, but I will only show it to you." And I think actually somewhere down the line, you got me to sign an NDA.
I did. I think it was before we started the meeting.
Yeah, I signed my life away to something. Yeah, it was either that or got the bill for the meal. But yeah, I think when I saw it, and I will say that the evolution of it and where it is today is much more in what I've originally thought. I think when I first saw it, there were two bits of me about the idea. I loved the idea because it was so simple. It was a really clear, here's an idea for an app for people who aren't very creative. And I just thought, I love the linear simplicity of this, because that's the cut through, is trying to explain what you do. The thing I think which we've evolved better to is it was very, at the time, obviously it was kind of rough and ready as it was just a concept. It really didn't play to different business types. It was quite generic in its nature at the stage, but fair play. I think it was a great effort, because Michelle managed to convince me what a great idea it was. But I think what we found as we evolved over the last kind of 24 months of working through it, we found that we've identified better our customers, our target customers, and the kind of value content they're seeking. And I think at the time, like I said, that is something you can't prejudge, and it's only by once you get into the weeds of the product that you realise that there's a greater value, and that's part of the strength of what I think we have here, is that nobody's doing anything like this. I mean, clearly you can go and use Google to find any bit of information and find content and imagery and various ideas and inspiration, but it's all time consuming. And I think that's the thing that we bring to the table, is this simplicity of, we'll cut out a lot of that timeline by just presenting you with some stuff that will be relevant to your industry or your sector, that then you can edit or just go with.
Yeah, because I think I get your emails on a weekly basis with the little tips as to what day of the week it is, whether it's National Dog Day or whatever.
Do you know the biggest challenge on those, as an aside, is choosing what to send out? And I got into this routine of, it had to be something celebrating the day. So it was, and there are every week, you can guarantee there's some health or well-being.
There's some weird and wonderful ones
going on. Some charitable. And so I had a stage where I was like trying to find things that were, today is, Kiss Your Granny Day or whatever it was. And I've kind of relented on that, and I've gone back to saying at least a couple have to just be out there things that happened, so there's some of the historical things on this day, something happened, and hopefully it's of, to the audience, of business interest. I mean, this is the biggest problem, is that, with getting one post a day as a freebie in the email, as valuable as it is, it's a bit of a kind of a wide shot to go for everybody to go, yeah, that's the one I needed. But I hope usually there's, it's informative, but there's at least one thing you can use through the cross of the 7 days.
Interesting. So, okay, guys. So you've been working together now. What do you say? About 2.5, 3 years? Is that 4 years? Oh God, what year are we in?
21.
Yeah.
We've been talking for probably 3.5 years, and then we did a lot of procrastinating for a bit around getting things right.
Yeah, it was the slowest project
why do you think that
start in
was?
history.
Why did you take it slowly from the sort of the idea of the concept? Brilliant idea. Why did you progress so slowly? What was it that caused the delay? Was it
There was a couple of really major things that slowed us down. One was finding a developer, the right developer for us that was firstly got what we were trying to do, but secondly was agile enough to kind of in the way that they were. You kind of think that technology is a really fast moving industry. And, here we were asking for quotes for the work that we wanted. And, 5 weeks later, we were still not getting anything back. Quite what I thought was a sluggish response from an industry that I expected to be a bit more on point.
Yeah.
And so we only really got going with the development when we landed on Torchbearer, which is the developer that we went with. And really, these guys were in the final year at uni. They'd set up the business in a year out. And, we had to wait for them to finish the degrees before they could start on our project. But they totally got what we were trying to do. And we kind of fell a little bit in love with them when we had the meeting, because we were like, hallelujah, we've now found somebody that gets what we see. And, we were kind of one step ahead where a lot of other people are in terms of thinking about an app, because by bringing Bren on board, we were able to do our own wireframes. And for those that don't understand wireframes, it's actually the different screens that you move from within the app, and it kind of visually demonstrates the walkthrough of the app. Now, lots of people don't have that when they go to a developer, so we already had that. And the guys at Torchbearer got it. So that was one of the things that slowed us down, but we were okay with that. And then we really did not anticipate the whole Facebook, Apple stuff. So the app at the time connected with just Facebook and Twitter. We now connect to LinkedIn as well. But we got rejected from Facebook 5 times before they actually accepted us to connect and post to Facebook business pages.
Why do you think that was?
Well, I kind of know what you were doing now. I mean, if I was really lucky that I had somebody kind of around me in my network that had gone through a similar process with Facebook, and she sort of said to me, "Oh gosh, don't worry about it. We got rejected 9 times. Just keep going back."
All right.
Yeah, it was the best bit of advice we were given. It's got nothing to do with us. It's their process. And you don't realise that. And you just you'd wait for them to reject it. And there'd be they would usually reject you, wouldn't they? And without telling you why. So the next step was to go back and say, so what were we failed on? And then somebody at their end would take another week and then come back and say, oh, you haven't explained this in detail. And it was just like, I suppose, it is like, in some respects, always dealing with public sector. There's this progression of barriers you just have to keep going through. But that the advice we were given is just don't stop was the best advice.
So that persistence paid off, and it was worth the wait.
Yeah, bureaucracy at its best. So when we got to, I was pretty hung up about, we've got to be on the app stores. So we got onto Google really quickly, and then went through the whole rigmarole with Apple, which, that was an even lengthier process than the Facebook process. With hindsight now, there's a learning in that, because the version of the app that we've got now is not on the stores, because as a startup, it's really difficult to not get consumed by the whole iOS update. So Apple release an iOS, you then have to go in and change everything that your app touches because of that iOS upgrade.
Right.
And, our developers tried to persuade us to go with what is now commonly known as a native web app. So the app runs from a browser, and it was me sort of, we've got to be on the app stores. It was some kind of milestone in my head.
Yeah.
And actually now I believe that whilst it was great for learning, it cost us definitely.
And how were you feeling at that time? And how did it make you feel? The pair of you thought, oh, we keep getting rejected. Did it put you on a down? Did you think, oh, let's just pack this in, it's just not worth the effort? Or what were your sort of thoughts? What was your gut reaction? I'll stuff it, or what was it?
I don't think we were on a downer at that stage in any shape or that came much later. No, I think because we hadn't launched the products, we were still full of the energy. I mean, the rejections at first, I think the first one is the one that takes its toll, isn't it? Where you kind of think, oh, have we got really misunderstood our market, or we got something they will not accept? But then, like you said, once we start going through this, you start to realize it is just a process. It is a contest of wills. And as we got through these, say when we came out the other side with both Apple and Google approval, or Facebook and whatever, the biggest regret we had was this move eventually to going to a web app, because when we went to a web app, most of our pain disappeared. Because, like I said, it was unbelievable. We were unfortunate with Apple in some respects, because the iOS release, and I think it was release 12 that came out, was the one that decoupled the iPad from the iPhone, right? Because they used to basically use exactly the same software, and so it would stretch your app onto a lot of them would just stretch it, whereas iOS 12 came out, and it was basically a totally standalone bit of software for iPad. So it is nothing to do with iPhone. So you have to design it for that. And of course, it broke everything in our app. You basically, you go onto the iPad and nothing would work properly. You could swipe off the screen and your app would disappear, but it was there, but you couldn't find it. And and it just caused us so much difficulties. Well, caused the developers an awful lot of difficulty, because we were fending off customers saying, "What's happened? I can't do this and I can't do that," and the support ticket list was going up and up and up and up, and of course it took us about a year or later, or whatever, when we went into lockdown, where we decided to actually pull the product. So we'd been mulling around this version 2, which was going to include all our improvements, and we just bit the bullet, didn't we? We just thought, well, we're all going into lockdown. Let's hopefully all our customers, when we tell them we're binning the app and we're going to come out with something else, will they kind of bear with us and put up with they could carry on using the old version, but we're going to have this new version. And I don't think we actually told them it was a web app at the time. I just think we told them it was going to be an improvement. But the biggest thing was going to just a browser-based app.
So would you say that's been your biggest challenge with the business, or do you find other challenges along the way?
It kind of just changes as you go through that phase. When you start up a business, you sort of, what is a challenge in the first year is not a challenge in the second year. What's a challenge in the third year is not. Your challenges change. We're at a stage now where we're really happy with the product. We're constantly working in the product at the back end on the content, adding new content, thinking about new vertical markets. We had somebody come to us recently who's got a holiday let. It's log cabins and things like that, and he downloaded the app and he said, "Oh, it'd be good if there was more kind of holiday travel related content." And so we just said, "Do you know what? Let's bite the bullet. Let's go and find this content." So we like doing stuff like that. We've got somebody who's doing a work placement with us at the moment, and she's working on a new set of content for us. But where we are really challenged right now is going from that, we're a small startup, we still don't pay each other a wage. We would really like to build our business now into a sustainable business model where it's a grown-up business, if you like, and we structurally everything's set up. We're doing everything right. We're happy with the product, but the sales really need to go up to get us to the next level. So we're looking at our growth strategy constantly, trying not to kind of flit around from idea to idea, because with marketing, clearly we've got to try something and really, work out if it's going to work for us. I mean, we spent probably just the best part of £1,000 on Facebook ads last year to get no customers. Yet one of the young early in career girls that I mentor put out a TikTok for us in January, and we got literally something like 70 new subscribers over the weekend, and that cost us nothing. So, finding the right platform and voice and messaging has kind of been a challenge for us. And what's difficult for me to kind of get my head around is I've spent my whole career in sales. Bren spent most of his career in kind of marketing. You'd think that if anybody could get it right, we could.
If you like what you hear so far, make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe or follow. This podcast is made possible because of listeners like you. So thank you, we really appreciate your support. Now back to the show.
I don't think there is a magic bullet, is it, for this thing? Despite what people say, I don't think there is.
When you're selling yourself, it's harder. It's your business, and you feel like you're selling yourself. And when you get rejected, it's personal.
I always think that, yeah. And I do think that, when it comes to marketing, right, everybody's got an opinion, right, and you just have to accept it. But the biggest challenge out there is that because we are controlled over, if it's going to say social media, where we're trying to build the product, is there seems to be these invisible rules that everybody suddenly accepts that you have to. You have to do, I don't know, Facebook ads or Twitter ads or LinkedIn ads or Google ads, and that's going to solve your problems. And actually, I would say probably 1 in 100 people, hand on heart, will say that's paid its way. And again, it's such a mixed bag. Everybody has a view of how to approach it, and it's not really in marketing. There's no bad advice. You've got to try things, and it's a lot harder when you're little. It's at the end of the day, it's what our product's about. Is about building some visibility, and like I said, our stage now is that although we've tried different marketing tactics, is that we've built a not a bad base of clientele and stuff, but it's trying to get to that next level is proving the kind of challenge to us, where you go from that kind of that core idea, that niche thing, into like something a little bit more mainstream that gets more visibility without throwing tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds at it. The one thing I can tell you tomorrow, I'm pretty sure of this, having both of us worked in big business, is that if I had £100,000 to spend on marketing, our product would get known. So we would reach the market. It's when you try to do it as a small business, on a very controlled budget, because we're trying to put all the investment into the development of the product.
We've tried a different approach this year, and we were lucky to get one of the COVID grants. So we've had some PR services out of that. We've used a small part of our budget to outsource some of our marketing. That's definitely helped us. We're running regular events. We send out the free newsletter, as you mentioned, Tracy, and we get really good traction around that. So I think we really kind of need to just keep doing what we're doing and just see if that works for us. We do onboard new customers every week. It's just, what we want it to be in the hundreds is not. We want it's a lower number.
From a business relationship, then, do you have sort of quite definite roles within that as a business partnership? Do you have definite? I know you've already mentioned sales and marketing. So do you sort of strictly stick to I'm sales, you're marketing? Is that?
Yeah, we do. And I tend to overstep the mark on the marketing because I have got an opinion. But at the end of the day, we do kind of pull rank, and even if I don't agree with something that Bren's saying on the marketing, he has the final say.
Yeah. I don't think it's as black as white as that, though. I think we always went into this knowing that both of us had skill sets that were quite different from each other. I can always, and I do in my little parts, support sales and assist that. As Michelle says, she will contribute to marketing, but we kind of defer to the person who's got more experience in it. It's never, for example, Michelle looks very much towards the running of the business and the strategy. I have, if Michelle wasn't there, I would have a view about where it's going, but it's never really bothered me to impose my view on it. It's just I trust her to do it, and it's like, well, that's okay. It's in good hands already, isn't it? And why would I believe I'm the expert when I haven't spent most of my career selling or advising businesses how to move forward and grow? So I think we've kind of naturally fallen into the right grooves.
What do you do if, all right, question, if you do have a problem as a business partnership, then how do you resolve that problem? Do you think, hang on, we've got to, because during the course of this, it sounds it's been like fairly traumatic for you growing this thing. So you must have had times when you've had issues where you've had to deal with like strong opinions. How do you get by that? What is it that you do? Do you just have a meeting and say, look, we've got to thrash this? Tell us what your thought processes are and how you deal with that. What do you do without falling out? Without falling out, guys. Without falling out.
No, I can't think of one. I don't think
out.
we've ever come to blows over anything.
Kind of gauge.
I do what I'm told.
Yeah,
that sounds like me.
We don't fall out. I think one thing that I've really learned working with Bren is we are very different. We work differently. We were talking about this before we came on to talk to you today, that I'm pretty organised and I've got lists of stuff, and I have learned how Bren works, which is he works constantly. If I was to send him an email over the weekend, he would respond to it because I know he's working. So I've kind of learned that Bren's not somebody that you tell him what to do. I kind of coax him or gently suggest things, and then I actually use the word nudge and he would use the word nag. But it's mainly we've got a chat on Teams. We chat, not like this face to face, but we will have a chat online on Teams, and we kind of get through the day like that, backwards and forwards, and then it'll be, oh, have you got time to just jump onto a call? So we'll get on video. I mean, we've physically not seen each other for over a year. Because I'm in Huddersfield and Bren's in Warrington. So we've done a lot of video. I personally think that the changes that we've had to make due to COVID have actually helped our business. We're not wasting time travelling for meetings. We can do a lot of what we need to do over chat and a 5-minute video call. If we do need to have those lengthier meetings, then we can get on to a 3-hour Teams call and just take breaks. It's often we'll be kind of on a Teams call and we're on video and one of us gets distracted. Oh, I'll just do this email. We stay on the video. We're just kind of chatting about different things, and like you would be if you were sat in an office, but actually Bren's not had to travel for an hour.
Yeah. And how do you think that business relationship then has developed over the last 3 years, 3.5 years? Has it got stronger? Are you at a different point now when you first started off than you are now? Do you know what I mean? What's changed? Is it a stronger business relationship? Is it do you trust each other more? I don't know, what is it? I mean, would you still get to sign an NDA?
Sign an NDA. Actually, there is a level of trust there, and I think Bren mentioned it before. And actually, prior to us going into business together, we were kind of business acquaintances. We'd pop up at the same event, or I'd be on their premises for a meeting. So the relationship has changed completely. I mean, it's a working relationship. You do get closer. I can definitely, if I think about something, I can think, right, okay, I'm going to speak to Bren about this. I know how it's going to land with him. In the same way, we had this kind of funny experience where we both, I'd been on, actually it was a Northern Affinity event where Laura had talked about this book, Building a Story Brand. And I thought, do you know what, I'm going to buy this book. So I bought the book and I mentioned it to Bren. And I think it was a Thursday or a Friday or something. And he said, oh, I've got a long time in the car. I'm going to see my mum. I'm going to listen to the audiobook. And I think over the space of about 3 days, we were both reading this book in parallel, and he was listening, I was reading. We were backwards and forwards on text because we could both get a feel that we were quite excited about what we were uncovering and what we were learning, and, or what did you think about that bit? And whilst we didn't come out with the same output at the end of reading the book, we were definitely heading in the right direction. And we did not disagree at that point, but I'd got a set view and he'd got a set view. We actually brought a third party in to help us facilitate how we get on the same page. So, and I think that comes with maturity and recognising that actually we're both in our 50s, pretty hard to budge once we're of an opinion, and that we weren't going to get to that same place on our own.
I think there's also, and older equals wiser, doesn't it? I mean, to me these days, and certainly, working with this product and with Michelle, you get confronted. A challenge comes up against you, and so you can't smash through the wall, can you? So it's either over, under, or around. So it is about just finding answers, and I think we're very pragmatic at doing that. There's no gain. 20 odd years ago, I'd probably spat my dummy out and, had a scream and rant at somebody for no apparent or good reason, and still not achieved anything. Today, you kind of go, yeah, all right, it's a bit of a challenge, but we'll work our way through it. And at the moment, certainly in the cycle of where the business is at, there's never a dull moment. There is so much to do. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, if I had like 3 times as many people to call on to help us, I'd still keep them all really, really busy. There's so much stuff. I mean, again, because the product is about producing content for others, it's like the fourth bridge. You get, you finish one subject, you've got another one. So we are able to kind of, like say, leave each other alone for periods of time, although we'll, like I say, be in contact every day by chat or whatever. We don't need to sit there on top of each other and say, well, what are you doing? There's a list as long as your arm, and we don't need to tell each other it is. We need to get on with it. And like you said earlier, it's really kind of easy for us. So if it's creative or data driven, I'm picking it up. I know that's my area. And if it's, to do with like the running of the business, to look at how we improve the sales funnel and stuff like that, the strategy, I know it's Michelle's, and we'll share what we've been doing, and we're forever dropping links and ideas and suggestions. But I don't think these days we have too many roadblocks now. We just, like say, we step back, we look at the problem, and if it's a big problem, chop it up into little bits so that we can do pieces at a time.
So it sounds like your vision for the business is very similar.
Yeah.
That you both think the same way, but you've maybe got a different approach to it.
Yeah, definitely.
How you deal with it.
I mean, what is your vision to go global? Is this a global
product? It is available globally, and I think we did have a customer in Malaysia. I think we probably still do. You can buy them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on this a little bit, because it's like I'm not taking the U's out of all of our words.
We're an English spelled company.
I think there is. Our original business plan did look at other continents, and it may well do if all goes to plan. But again, from a data thing, you go into another continent and they have a whole different set of things that you've got to understand. I know we've discussed in the past, when we get to that stage, we will probably recruit people in the countries locally for some of that.
If you were to offer a piece of advice to anyone who's thinking of starting a business with a partner, what would that advice be?
I wouldn't do anything differently to what I did when I was seeking a business partner. And I think you've got to look at your own skill set and be really honest about that and what the gaps are. And, if you believe in diversity like I do, then where 2 + 2 = 5, then don't go and find a business partner that is like you, because I don't think you'll get the value. Find somebody that is aligned to the same values as yourself, but that brings something different to the table. And, the people that know both Bren and I know that we are completely different people, but we've both got the same end goal in mind.
Yeah, I mean, our interests do range massively different, and I do think that is actually such a key tenet for us. Is that, like you said, you couldn't match us up like in a dating agency; it just wouldn't work. But like the objective from a business perspective is really, really good because we have a vision of something we want to create and cherish. Yet our approach to it is very different. And I think that, if you put two salespeople or two creatives together, you have a bigger challenge because there's more things that you can't do outside of your own skills. With us, as I say, we've got strategic sales and like I say, management expertise all in Michelle there, and I'll say I'm okay at the creative stuff and the marketing. So we've got a nice mix of the kind of core things you need to build the base. And then, as Michelle has kind of said, the sum of the parts, the things that we don't necessarily between us shine at, collectively we can overcome.
Yeah, and I think, we were a startup with not a lot of money to put behind it. If you don't try and fill some of those gaps yourselves, it can be costly. So
yeah, can be difficult, can't it? Can be difficult.
Yeah. Just thinking that could be an app to create, like a dating app, but for finding a business partner.
Yeah, the business partner app. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Find a business
you
partner.
heard it here first.
Well, I wouldn't have a clue how to do that, so there we go.
Okay, thank you, guys.
So, thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and hopefully we'll see you around.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. It's been a really interesting conversation. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much indeed.
So, take care, guys.
Yeah, thank
Bye-bye.
you.
So now it's time for this week's Knowledge Share. So what do we have for our Knowledge Share this week, Tracy?
So this week's Knowledge Share is Microsoft Sticky Notes. I've only just discovered this. So basically, if you need to remember something for later, Microsoft Sticky Notes are a simple and quick way to do this.
We'll also put the details in the show notes, and I can't believe you didn't know about Sticky Notes, Tracy. Where did you discover that from?
Just goes to show you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know, indeed. Well, great share, though. Get in touch and let us know if you try it, anyone, and tell us what you think.
So we're almost at the end of this week's episode, but before we go, we're excited to tell you about our bonus episode this Friday, the Friday Fix, where we'll be discussing a business-related subject with a fellow business owner who'll be sharing their advice, thoughts or knowledge on a particular topic. This week's episode is called Why Do Prospects Ask for Proposals?
Our special guests on next week's podcast are Ruth and Justin Widdop of Choose Purple. We're really looking forward to speaking to them and digging deep into their experiences as a business couple. Also, if you'd like to join us at one of our regular networking meetings, the link will be in the show notes.
Thank you so much for joining us on In Business Talks 2. We hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, all that we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show. We'd really appreciate it.
So until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together
we are in business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.